Alright, so the first person we got here is Mad Max with 2000 squad power. I don't normally look at the experience because if it's really low or if it's really high, it tells you about whether or not they played the game for a very long time or not very long. But since I have no way of knowing whether or not they spend any amount of money, I don't usually put too much stock into it. Same with tournament brackets. Mine are always low just because I never really participate in tournaments. I don't like them that much. Top Mech Zephyr. It's, I see an RPG 6 there, which is interesting. Wins per battles looks like 60% win ratio. Highest damage, that'll be determined by what else is in the hangar. Total number of kills. If you take the total number of kills and divide it by the total number of battles, you get an average number of kills per battle, which in this case is about 7, and that's not bad. I think, especially with bots roaming around, the ideal number is above 6. Anything 6 or below, then I kind of, take that as an indication that maybe struggling in a specific area. Let's go left to right. Got kill shot here with missile rack 8s. A decently leveled pilot for something that low, but that might actually really help. This looks like missile rack reload and mech ability damage. Yeah, I mean, those will help. Those will help. I think you definitely chose the right implants for this. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but the main strength of Killshot obviously is the massive ability damage, and the main weakness of missile racks is the reload time. So kind of taking care of both those, playing on your strengths and trying to cover a few of your weaknesses. That's pretty good. I like that. I would not really recommend. I see you got the mech ability damage upgraded twice. I wouldn't really recommend upgrading the rare implants, because at max level they'll cost you a decent amount, and they really don't do a lot. Like, I think they're gonna max out at about 10%. So I would try to get a purple one, or are they called epic? I don't remember. I think those usually max out at like maybe even close to 50%, maybe 25. I don't remember which one it was, but these are not great, and you have to spend A coins to remove them if you upgrade them at all, which is stupid, but it's true. And yeah, you could upgrade them until you can find like a purple implant to replace it. And you can spend the A coins, or you could just accumulate those parts, remove it for free, and then, if you have extra parts, then it won't matter. But in general, I would upgrade rare implants a maximum of 2 times. Upgrading them isn't a big deal because you won't lose very many implant parts if you don't spend A coins, and if you do spend A coins, it'll only be a couple of them because they're very cheap. But after upgrading it twice, that's when it starts to get into a little bit stronger territory of, do I really want to lose these implant parts, or do I really want to spend those amount of A coins, especially if you're free to play. I can't tell how many resources you have, obviously, so just a suggestion. Missile rack on Killshot. I mean, not a bad combo. See lots of people use it. The reload time of the missile rack is pretty close to the cooldown time of Killshot, so I would consider that decent. Quick check on all the rest of your mechs here. Okay, so it looks like Killshot is the second highest level mech. You definitely got it straight. Upgrading Killshot, Panther, Zephyr, those are the top 3 mechs in the game at the moment, obviously. Stalker is still new, and it's still making its mark. I don't know if it's considered meta, but it's getting there. And with people using different things, you never know. But since Brickhouse is nowhere near the top, I would say that it's probably not going to land near the top either. But yeah, I would say this is a good setup right here. This right here, Stasis Beam, Thermal Lance, always solid. Using the maximum amount of energy that you have. Obviously, I would not rank up the Thermal Lance again, because you will eventually replace it. If not with another Stasis Beam, then with a Thermal Lance 6, ideally, because it does more damage. So I would not upgrade the rank of this anymore. I would not upgrade it anymore. The Stasis Beam, it's a good weapon. It is, I don't know, Stasis Beam itself is very situational, and if I'm being honest, Panther is kind of the only mech that can actually pull it off. So I would say that's pretty good. Your pilot in this scenario, beam damage pilot, yeah, that's always good. You got a weapon damage of about 10%, you got a beam weapon damage of 4%, you got a stasis beam damage of 4%, so you're basically looking at it almost 20% damage buff on everything, because, well, Thermal Lance's damage is relatively negligible. Its main ability is the perk to make your other weapons do, I think, 1.5 damage per. Ability cooldown time minus 4%. Ability duration plus 4%. That's interesting. So I don't have a lot of ability-based implants myself. I have seen both of these. I own both of these. But they're very good. I would still not suggest that you upgrade them any more than twice. Right now all of them are upgraded once, and they're doing decent. Like 4% isn't a lot, but it's something. But yeah, I think it gets to a maximum of about 10%. And I did upgrade the ability duration one, I think 4 to 5 times. And I found that it really wasn't that useful. The rare version anyway, the blue one. And this is where I'm coming from when I say don't really upgrade the rare ones, is because 10% even with ability duration, and I put this on a Shadow who already has a like 12-second ability duration. I think it's the longest ability duration in the game. So I tried to play on my strengths there and try to, get as much as I could. But 10% is still only like 1.2 seconds, right? Yeah, it's 1/10 of what you'd normally have added on. So I go from 12 seconds to like a fraction over 13 seconds, and it's actually not even noticeable. I couldn't even notice the difference, and this is after upgrading it like 5 times. So my recommendation would be, do not upgrade these anymore. If you want to, you can upgrade them one more time and you won't lose too many resources. I would say upgrading rare implants twice is kind of ideal. You don't lose too much, but you are still gaining kind of as much as you can gain. But yeah, other than that, I wouldn't do it. But it's a solid pilot. And a good build. Beam builds are very hard to use, and again, Panther's one of the few mechs that can actually pull them off. Guardian. See, I've never seen the merit behind rocket mortar javelin rack combos. I understand that in this situation, it's most likely, yeah, in this case, you're just using what you can to fill in, because your rocket mortar 12 is taking up basically all of your energy space. And that's fair. That is completely fair. However, Guardian is actually very, very good as a, like, assault, close range mech. I used it as a sniper for a very long time, and I still think that it makes an incredible sniper. Probably better than Panther. Just because Panther's ability is slightly more, I don't know, it's more useful up close. And although Guardians is obviously useful up close once you system crash somebody, it's more of a defense mechanism. Panthers can determine entire battles between like 3 to 4 players. So, I would say you probably want something, I don't want to say better on Guardian, but I will probably say better for lack of other ways to put this, because rocket mortar, you'll stay back, you won't do a lot of damage, especially if you only have one. Javelin rack, I mean, you can get a few kills maybe, but putting these on a Guardian makes it very easy for you to survive with this setup. And surviving the entire game with this setup will more than likely lose you the game. This is a sometimes thing. If you have 2 rocket mortar 12s, or if you have some way of boosting your damage, if you have something that can make rocket mortar very, very, very deadly, then that's good. Otherwise, these are support weapons. They're not going to do a lot, but they force you to stay back and capture minimum number of capture points. So it's really limiting your usefulness. So I would consider either swapping these weapons out for closer range weapons, which you seem to have a lot of already, so maybe don't do that. Or you could even put long arms on here. I very much think long arms are great weapons for Guardian, because they're not support. They do significantly more damage than a single rocket mortar would. Even if you just have 2, you have what, 16? Yeah, you could put 2 long arm 8s on here. And that's how I started off my Guardian, was with 2 long arm 8s. As I ranked up my Guardian to rank 4, I put on one long arm 10. And rank 4 gets you to 20, yeah. I think actually does Guardian start at 3? Yeah. I had 2 long arm 8s on it for a little while, and then I think what happened was I realized that, I unlocked long arm 10, and I was like, okay, this will obviously work better. So, after ranking it up to rank 4, I put on one long arm 10, and then I just kept that on there. I didn't I upgraded the Long Arm 10 as much as I could, and I still do that every single time. Every single time I logged in, I would go to the shop, I would go to the daily deals, I would look, you know how you get like that free crate or whatever, those little component things that are in there for like 1,000 credits, you can easily get like 5,000 credits from just the daily tasks. So easy steal. You can get like, I think 10? I don't know. I think it's maybe 10 Long Arm 10 blueprints for 1,000 credits, and that happens so often I can't even tell you. I have one in my shop right now. It's actually the very first time I passed it up. My Long Arm 10 is a rank 6 level 4, and I still have 3,000 blueprints for it. I don't know if I could even use all of them at this point because I bought so many of them, but it was stupid cheap. I basically got it for free. It's very easy to upgrade Long Arm 10s, actually. You don't have to spend a cent. So I would very much recommend that. I think it would work better than a rocket mortar javelin setup, although javelins are very good. They kind of fit that support role. So it is up to you. Obviously, you could, if you wanted to, put 2 javelin rank 6s on here, or 2 javelin rank 8s if you have them, but you probably don't. But I think, do they? No, they're not in the progress path yet, but they might be coming to it soon. Either way, you could go full javelin, or you could stick with this setup, but keep in mind that rocket mortars don't do a lot by themselves. Like a single rocket mortar 12 probably doesn't get you a lot of kills, and it's very map situational, which means that you spawn this in, you're very likely to survive the rest of the game, but you're also significantly more likely to lose that game. Onward to Zephyr. Pretty good. Rank 4, level 4. I see an Arc Torrent 10 and RPG 6. That's probably 16 total energy. Yes, it is. So, this RPG 6 is probably serving you about as well as it can. You could replace it with a Missile Rack 6, and I'll get to that in a second. You could replace it with a Missile Rack 6, or even a Thermal Lance 6, or something like that. That's actually what I use on my MD sometimes, since it's not maxed out. It only has 14 energy right now. So what I do is I put on an Arc Torrent 10 and a Thermal Lance 4, and it kind of boosts my damage a bit. Makes my Arc Torrent a bit more useful. The RPG isn't a terrible weapon in nature, like, in nature. What I mean by that is, it's not inherently a bad weapon. Like, the mechanics of it are not bad. But the thing is that the maximum energy of an RPG is 6. And 6 energy weapons basically are all meant to be replaced. They're all meant to be taken off. Because, I mean, even though it'll take a long time, yeah, obviously it'll take a long time to, like, max something out, but, like, you're not even using a light mech right now. So any 6 energy weapon you use, your Zephyr has a max energy of 24. You're going to get rid of that, any 6 energy weapons very quickly. You'll probably get rid of 8 energy weapons very quickly. On a, like, kill shot, eventually you'll get this up to, like, 20 energy. You'll take off a missile 8, you'll put on a missile 12 if that's available to you, or you'll do something else. But yeah, you'll you won't hang on to low energy weapons. 6 energy and below are all meant to be discarded, so I would not recommend upgrading them almost at all. And that goes for this javelin rack and the thermal lance, obviously. Like I said, the thermal lance, like, ideally, once you rank up the Panther, you'd replace it with, you know, either another stasis beam or a bigger thermal lance or something that deals more damage. I don't think I checked pilots. Close range, looks like you got close quarters weapon damage, arc torrent range, and arc torrent mag size. Arc torrent mag size is not an implant that I have, but that sounds like it would be pretty dope. What is... Okay, so you currently only have 2... Okay, so you only have 2 epic pilots, or whatever they're called. But you're looking at like a 9% amount of boosted damage to the... That's not bad. 10% extra damage. That can be pretty good. The mag size will obviously keep you in the fight for longer. You'll have better sustained damage. The HP, that's pretty good. Obviously in this, you probably got this one relatively recently, or you just don't have the implant parts for it. But obviously I would focus on the arc torrent mag size. You could upgrade the arc torrent range again if you wanted to, because that's a very good one. But again, it is just a rare, and I wouldn't recommend upgrading it very much because it doesn't give you much, and you'll just need to replace it once you get a better one. So yeah, keep an eye out for good implants in the shop. Obviously they're a little bit expensive, but I don't know, it's not my decision to make, so I'm gonna deal with it, I guess. Aries. I have a maxed Aries in my hangar, and I love it. Aries is fantastic. It's my favorite tank. It's a great choice. I would very much consider... You got 12 energy on it right now, yeah, but once you upgrade it again, you'll have 14, I think. Like, once you enhance the rank, you'll have 14, and then once you... once you enhance the rank, you'll have 16. And that's actually ideal, for what I was going to say. Because disc launchers on Aries work fantastically. They are phenomenal. And there's several reasons for it. One is because Aries is kind of a... It's not entirely a hit and run, but it is sort of. You can stay in the fight for a little while, and that'll allow you to get all of your disc launcher shots out, which does take a decent amount of time because the RPM of those is not very high. So that's good. That'll keep you, like, the shield will protect you while that's happening, but after the shield is gone, usually you want to back out. And it's the same general playstyle that you'd have with Missile Rack, except disc launchers have a slightly better sustained firepower, which will definitely help you if someone tries to attack you, or if you get attacked by, like, multiple people, or you're trying to protect or capture a control point. And disc launchers are very good for that. Also, the fact that Aries is a slow mech, it's the fastest tank, sure, but it is still a slow mech. Disc launchers can help you catch those mechs that are trying to get away. If they're moving around behind cover, you don't have to run them down. You can just fire them suckers around the corner and kill them that way. It's very good. They are excellent for dealing with shadows because the disc launcher mechanism, the way that this game works, is it still targets shadows while they're in stealth, but it doesn't lock onto them. the way that disc launchers work is that the disc actually lands on the ground where your target is. So even though a shadow would be like in stealth, it's not like a missile rack where it'll just pass by it. It will land on the ground, it'll explode, and you'll deal that damage to the shadow, and you'll be able to kill him very, very quickly. But yeah, I have 2 disc 12s on my maxed Aries in my own hangar, and it is the best Aries setup I have found so far. It's fantastic. I've used lots of setups, believe me, and they're great. I've used double missile rack 12s on Aries, and I still like the disc launchers better. I think they're just objectively easier to use. They're slightly more useful, and not waiting for that stupid reload time can be very nice. Assault weapon damage. So you're looking at only 5.2% extra weapon damage and about 4% extra mech HP. And that's because you are not actually using assault weapons on Aries, which is fine. Because sometimes you just gotta use what you gotta use. You'll still get the extra. I mean, having any pilot allows you to put implants on. And it'll give you this weapon damage, that mech HP. You don't even have implants on here, but if you wanted to, you could stick a couple on that you have that could, help you out a little bit if you have them. Obviously, you plan on replacing this pilot with a different one, I'm sure. So don't upgrade those implants, just leave them on there as is, so that you don't have to spend anything, and you don't lose anything when you take them off. Also, I wouldn't recommend upgrading this pilot anymore, unless you have a specific use for it. Assault pilots like Red and Major, they're mostly for carbines, because not a lot of people use pulse cannons, auto cannons. I mean, pulse cannons are relatively common in your league, I'm sure, but long term, they're really only for carbines. So if you don't have a planned carbine setup, I wouldn't focus on these pilots. That is about it for your Hangar Mad Max. Hopefully I helped you out a little bit. For the most part, I would say you have a very solid hangar. Like I said, like you're still obviously working on it. You're not done, and we all know that. One last thing I actually didn't even consider, and I'm not sure why. You could replace this RPG 6 with an Arc Torrent 6, which also exists. You would have to buy the Arc Torrent 6, and that does kind of suck. But I think it would still be worth it, because Arc Torrent 6s are not terrible. They're good for light mechs. So if you have like a light mech in the future that you want to put in, like if you want to replace the Guardian with a Shadow or something, you can put 2 Arc Torrent 6s on the Shadow, and they work very well. So, just another thing to think about. But yeah, thank you for your ID, and hopefully you got something useful from that. Each in our Savitar. Good strong hangar, almost approaching 4,000. Experience approaching 200,000. So, it's okay. Yeah, you should have access to Railgun and Brick House and all that stuff. Your wins and battles, it looks like you're winning roughly 3 out of 4. So 75%. That's not bad. Highest damage, nice. Total kills, that's almost, it's basically 10 per battle. And that's very solid. It's very solid. We will go left to right. Zephyr. And this is what I expect to see, and this is honestly what is just the best thing for every Hangar to have in this at this point in time. Zephyr, Killshot, Panther. Those are the best 3 mechs in the game. If you want to have the most powerful Hangar possible, you should be using those mechs. Missile Rack Carbine 10 on a Zephyr, rank 5, so you got 18 energy. So you're using all your energy. I would always suggest that you try to use all of your energy. You could use Carbine 8s if you wanted to instead of the Missile Rack 8. I don't personally think that hybrid builds work very well. And I could get in depth with that statement, but I think I'll just try to sum it up by saying that in general, instead of making said mech effective in multiple scenarios or multiple situations, it just makes you relatively ineffective at all situations where you could be particularly effective at one. Missile Rack's a good weapon for Zephyr because it's a burst weapon that pairs very nicely with Zephyr's shock pulse. I think it used to be called EMP blast, right? Maybe that's just me. I'm pretty sure it did. Anyway, Missile Rack's very good. Carbine, I mean, it could objectively be better than another Missile Rack 8 just because it's 2 extra energy, which is fair. Although the mechanics of Carbine are more of sustained firepower and won't do very well with Zephyr's playstyle, which is kind of sit back, wait for your ability, use it, come out. So, something to consider. Otherwise, I mean, there aren't a lot of better options that give you full range of your what's it called? Your energy capacity outside of Arc Torrent, which are probably better used on Killshot. Very, very true. Using max energy. That's good. I actually forgot to use but check out the pilot. You got close quarters weapon damage, missile rack damage, and missile rack reload time. You aren't using close quarters weapons on Zephyr though. So this is probably just a extra pilot that you had, I'm gonna assume. But again, it's fair because you have implants to throw on it. It gives you mech HP, so like, go ahead, throw it on there. You definitely upgraded this pilot a lot, and I'm not sure I would really recommend that. If you have the resources to spend, I would very much recommend that you just upgrade the purple and gold pilots, because they give you an extra implant slot and they're significantly better. Like, just that alone makes them 50% better objectively. And I think the mech HP and weapon and like innate skill bonus is actually increased by a certain amount. I'm not sure about that. Well, we can check. Close quarters weapon damage plus 8%. You're at rank 4. G-Lock, also rank 4. Close quarters weapon damage 15%. Yeah, it's basically twice. Yeah, epic pilots are basically twice as useful as rare pilots, so I wouldn't sink any more resources into this guy. But again, you got some implants thrown on here, not bad. They're level 1, so clearly you're planning to just take them off and replace it once you get a different pilot anyway. I'm probably not telling you anything new. So that's good, that's good. Onto Killshot. Arc Torrent, Killshot. Obviously, I have never tried this setup before because I have never used Killshot. Funny story, actually. that whole ordeal that happened where like people got random things, like certain things that they had unlocked were suddenly just in their inventory. After like, I think it was the most recent update, yeah. They fixed that, but I still have those things unlocked and like available in my inventory now. And I don't know what's with that because I told them about it. And yeah, so like I didn't buy Killshot, but apparently I have it available to use, and they're really trying to get me to use it, but I really don't want to. Anyway, that aside, I'm sure Arc Torrents on Killshot would work phenomenally. I think I may have gotten completely wrecked by certain people with the setup before, but I don't know. Most of the time when I see Arc Torrents, I see them on Zephyrs. And they do work exceptionally well on Zephyrs. If you go here, yeah, at rank 6, you'll have 20 energy, and I would very much consider putting those Arc Torrents on Zephyr instead, because it's very high damage, very short amount of time, and you have to get close to use Zephyr's shock pulse or whatever ability to freeze them anyway. So I would say that it altogether just goes very well. Your Killshot is approaching max level anyway, so you would maybe want to consider Disc Launcher 12s. You could put a Disc Launcher 12 to Disc Launcher 8 until you get there. But Disc Launchers work very well. Also, Missile Racks, I've seen that do very well also. Let's take a quick look at your pilot. You have got Arc Torrent damage, Arc Torrent range. Both of these are good, and you have them leveled up very nicely. 36% extra range. Gosh. So this particular rare implant is actually very useful. It's like, it looks like it'll max out at 50% extra range, which will get you from 40 meters to 60 meters, which is, I'm not even going to tell you how ridiculous that is, but it is good for you. As it is, you're looking at like 50 meters right now anyway. You know, you're over 50 meters at this point. You're like 55 almost. You got 15% extra damage. So this thing slays. This thing shreds people. That's on top of 13% weapon damage and 15% close quarters weapon damage, which is ridiculous. On top of the Arc Torrent damage, you're looking at almost 45% extra damage. So crazy stuff. Not a huge fan of the direction pilots went, but that's a story for another time. Railgun Long Arm 10, you have got, I think you got 28 energy. So you have 2 energy unaccounted for, which is fine. Depending on the build, it's not always a better idea to fully use up your energy capacity. I have not been a personal fan of long arm railgun hybrid setups. I don't think that they work very well. Unless you fire one shot, wait a few seconds, fire another shot, because just the reload mechanics, like the RPM of them are very similar, but the reload mechanics are so dissimilar that you're after like the first minute of the game, you're only firing one or the other. You're not firing both. You're not dealing a lot of damage per shot. Your instantaneous DPS is much lower as the battle progresses, and that is the reason that I don't like that, because I think snipers do best with the highest instantaneous or burst DPS. Like, but I'm sure you're just waiting until you get a max Panther and a second Railgun. So obviously that's not like your end game, but yeah. Rocket Mortar 12, Missile Rack 8 on Juggernaut. Rocket mortars are, again, they're interesting. They're very situational. They're kind of like javelin racks, and I would, at this point, I would suggest that you replace the Juggernaut with some build with javelin rack instead, if you're going to use a support build like Rocket Mortar. I think javelin racks would work better. As far as tanks go, I prefer Aries, but Juggernaut is just as effective if you use it correctly. Its shield actually has more HP than Aries, so that's something to consider also. What else? I mean, you could put just missile racks on this thing if you have missile rack 12. But again, like, I wouldn't, I could not personally recommend a single rocket mortar setup to anyone. I don't think it's a great idea, especially something that's meant to survive, like a Juggernaut. You'll survive, but it won't do you a lot of good because you're not doing that much damage. Let's take a look at pilot though. Mech ability damage plus 6%. So I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that your shield does not damage anyone. If I'm not mistaken, you have an extra slot here. I would put the mech ability damage on your G-Lock killshot pilot. You can get some use out of it over there. You can do whatever you want with it. Over here, it's not serving you at all. it's not doing anything, obviously. Missile rack damage. I mean, you are using a missile rack, so you know, that's fair considering the build that you have. You've upgraded these both twice. Once again, I would not recommend that you upgrade them any more than that. They're not giving you very much for your resources as is. Plus, you only have one missile rack, so even if it was boosted by like 50%, your single missile rack 8 is not going to do that much damage. It would be the equivalent of a single missile rack 12, which I've used, and your squad power and your rank, the enemies that you fight, I can pretty confidently say that a single missile rack 12 won't even do you a whole lot of good. Guardian. This is your... Okay, so it's your second lowest level mech. I'd focus on leveling up your Zephyr, obviously, because that's one of the top 3. Guardian is looking pretty good. Double carbine 12s. 24 energy. I mean, that's nice. You don't really need to upgrade the rank of Guardian anymore if carbines are what you plan to use on it long term. So, like, don't waste your resources, right? And that's what I did. That's what I did with my Guardian. Before I started making videos, what I did was I had it up at rank 4. It had 20 energy. I had 2 long arm 10s on it. I leveled it up to level 7, so I had the maximum number of the max HP that I could have for that rank. But then I just left it at rank 4. I didn't bother ranking it up to rank 5 because I didn't need 4 extra energy if I was just going to keep long arm 10s on it. and instead I ranked up my long arm 10s, which are now rank 6, level 4 or something crazy like that. Good high level carbines. Obviously ranked it up to get the second one, but that's nice. It's nice. The pilot, that's doing assault weapon damage, so just from that you got weapon damage of 11%, assault weapon damage of 8%, so it's almost 20% extra damage. And then you got a carbine damage buff of almost 20%. You're looking at basically 40% extra damage. That's a lot. And you've upgraded this epic implant quite a bit. Unfortunately, you will probably end up getting rid of this pilot in favor of Major once you've obtained him, and that'll cost you a pretty penny, upward of 1,000 A-coins, I think. Well, no, I think it'll probably be closer to 500. But it'll be good amount. It'll be a good amount to take that sucker off. So keep that in mind, obviously, before upgrading it anymore, or before sticking anything else on there and then upgrading it. Just keep that in mind. That end game, you're probably gonna want to replace that pilot pretty soon. And that is about it for you. Thank you for sending in your player ID. Hopefully I gave you something useful. Alright, King Kali with 2,000 squad power, almost 200,000 experience, so I can guess that you're free to play. And that's fine. That's fine. Wins per battles. You look like, it looks like maybe you're struggling a little bit, but that could also just be bad matchmaking. The matchmaking is not fantastic, but we'll take a look at your hangar in a second. Your kills per battle is roughly 7, so you're doing fine yourself. Okay. Panther. You got 20 energy, and you got long arms. Lots of people like long arm Panther, or sniper Panther anyway. They prefer railguns, obviously, but it's a good sniper mech. It's a good sniper mech. Obviously, you're pooling your resources into long arm 10, and you probably don't need me to tell you this, but I would not rank up long arm 8 anymore. You could get some more damage, and yeah, it'll be cheaper than continuing to upgrade long arm 10, but your goal is obviously to replace the long arm 8 with the long arm 10, or even railgun in the future, so don't focus on the long arm 8. I think that is actually the exact rank that my long arm 8 is still right now, because long arm 10s are just better, and there's no real reason to use a long arm 8. But yeah, let's take a look at your pilot. HP, you got sniper damage, weapon damage, sniper damage, about almost 10%. Not bad. I mean, for sniper, it's extra damage, so it's not insignificant. It's better than nothing for sure. Your kill shot is, I mean, again, Panther kill shot, Zephyr, very good mechs. Cheetah. Okay, I would focus on upgrading kill shot. It is your lowest level mech at the moment, tied with Shadow. But kill shot's very, very good. You have enough energy to run these Javelin Rack 6s. If you upgrade it again, though, you could use Javelin Rack 8s, or you could use something else like Disc Launcher, Arc Torrent, Missile Rack, something. You got Missile Racks, but you know what I'm saying. Killshot's very, very good, and its main weakness is low HP. So the more you can upgrade it, the more HP you'll get, obviously. Yada, yada, yada. Javelin Racks are obviously pretty easy to use on Killshot, so not bad. Ability cooldown time ability damage, those are both effective. Guided weapon damage, yeah. So you're looking at 7% extra weapon damage and then 2% extra ability damage. So almost 10% boosted damage altogether. Not bad. Cheetah. It's very... I mean, obviously, you buy it at this... well, actually, no, you buy it at rank 4. So you've been focusing a lot on Cheetah, it looks like. And even though it did get a buff, I would not really say that it is top 5, really. It works much better with Javelin Rack than it would with Missile Rack. I can tell you that. The ability is a support ability. It is a support mech. And it's more of a passive thing. So using more assault-based weapons like this, I would not say is the best thing that you could be doing. But yeah, just something to keep in mind. It's 12 energy. Okay. Your pilot, though. Cheetah Mind Blast Radius 11%. That's, I've seen this. I took the time to scroll through all the different implants that you could possibly get. If you go to... Where do you have to go? You go to, like, your pilots, and then you can go to, like, your implant list. In the bottom right. I think there's a way of sorting it so that you can just look at all implants, and then you can just see all of them from there, not just the ones that you have. So I have seen this one. It's very interesting, because the Cheetah Mine radius is... What is it? It's like... It's 12 meters is what I tested at one point. I didn't make a video of it because it wasn't, like, significant enough. I think it was 12 meters. No. The ejection distance of the mines, when you use the ability, it shoots the mine out 12 meters in front of you. The initial blast radius, the activation radius and the blast radius, I believe, are slightly different, but I don't remember off the top of my head what they were. Anyway, ability damage also 8%. Missile weapon damage 8%. Weapon damage 9. You've been putting a lot into this guy. This guy's got like almost 20% just weapon damage, extra ability damage, and extra ability. It's crazy. Okay. I mean, Cheetah's fun to use. I mean, if that's the reason that you use it, more power to you, because it is very fun to use. And it is very good in the right hands. It's definitely not a bad mech whatsoever. But I would focus on Killshot, because Killshot's probably getting you the majority of your kills anyway. That and Zephyr. Shadow, you have got 8 energy on Shadow, so this is probably a relatively new addition to your hangar. Lots of light medium mechs. I would consider, since you already have Killshot, which is a scout, is very fast, able to take capture points in the beginning, or just like running, get them, that sort of thing. Cheetah is also pretty fast. Zephyr is also relatively fast. Panther is also pretty fast. I would actually suggest that you replace Shadow with a tank, preferably Aries. That is up to you, but I think I think every balanced hangar should have, in my opinion, 2 attackers, 1 tank, 1 support, 1 scout. You have 2 supports, 2 scouts, and 1 attacker. So I would consider replacing Cheetah with probably Guardian, and Shadow with probably Aries. That would get you very, very well-rounded hangar. It would boost the general HP pool of your hangar, your general survivability by a lot. Autocannons are obviously kind of terrible weapons because the highest energy you can get for those is 4, so don't upgrade these at all. You're going to be getting rid of those. Pulse cannons are probably what you're going to end up with. Pulse cannon 8. 8 and 6. You could focus on 6. Once you rank this up, you'll have 10. So if you were to keep Shadow in your hangar, I would suggest like a Pulse Cannon 8 and maybe even Pulse Cannon 2 combo after you rank it up. Because Pulse Cannon 8's obviously the long-term weapon. You can slowly upgrade that more and more, and that'll be the weapon that you stick with while you upgrade it further and further. Zephyr, you probably have 16, energy. Okay. Missile Rack 8s, those work very well with the ability. Obviously Arc Torrents also work very well if you wanted to use those. Let's take a look at your pilot. Mech HP, weapon damage, close quarters weapon damage, arc torrent damage. So you're looking at a boosted 10%, 11%. Alright, next one is Divs 74. Your wins per battles are not fantastic. Again, it could be mostly matchmaking, and I don't take these numbers as any real indicator of how a player is doing, but it gives me an idea of whether or not they might need help in some area or another. Highest damage, total kills looks like roughly 7 per game, so you're and this is kind of how I determine that. Like, if your total kills are still good, but your wins per battles are not good, then you're either not playing the objective or you're just getting bad matchmaking. But it still gives me information to use here. Okay, well, we get to start with something different. Arachnos with disc launcher 8s. Disc launchers are fantastic weapons. They work well on almost anything. Arachnos is a terrible mech. It works terribly with almost everything. I would very much suggest that you replace Arachnos with probably a support mech, being Cheetah or Zephyr mainly. Zephyr, obviously, so the Killshot Panther Zephyr. Those are the top 3. So if you get access, obviously you probably don't even have access to it right now, but once you have access, I would replace Arachnos with Zephyr. 16 energy is possibly even the starting amount that Zephyr has, so if you wanted to just keep it with that. If you wanted to play to strengths, though, what I would do is swap Guardian and Arachnos weapons. You could even do like a trifecta of swaps. You could put the long arms on Guardian, the disc launchers on Panther, and the missile racks on Arachnos. But disc launchers work very well on Guardian, as do long arms. As to which one, you clearly want to use Guardian as a close range mech, so I would suggest putting disc launchers on there instead of missile racks. They just work better, in my opinion. I've tried both. Long arms on Panther, not bad. You got 16 energy, yeah, okay. You're using up your energy. You got that's a good setup. Replace those with. I would suggest don't rank up the long arms anymore. Rank up the Panther. Once you rank up the Panther, buy a Long Arm 10 and replace it with one of these. Do not rank up the Long Arm 8 anymore, only focus on the Long Arm 10. Oh, excuse me. Until you're able to duplicate the Long Arm 10 and do that on there. But yeah, that's what I would suggest. Or even Railgun once if you get that sooner. Who knows? Arachnos, again, I would trade it out for Zephyr, and put the missile racks on it. If you were to keep Arachnos, honestly, I would just put whatever weapons you feel are the least effective on it. In my case, I prefer disc launchers much more than I prefer missile racks. Not to mention your disc launchers are higher level than your missile racks are, so they probably do more damage. I would put the missile racks on Arachnos because Arachnos in general will not perform very well as is. So you're just kind of minimizing your losses at that point. I have not looked at the weapon damage, guided weapon damage. Okay, no implants, but you got almost 8% extra weapon damage. So on that, obviously, I would suggest swapping the pilot over to Guardian if you were to swap the guided weapons over to Guardian, because it has the guided weapon innate skill, I think it's called. Sniper pilot, you have 2 implants on here. One upgraded twice, one upgraded once. Long arm damage, mech ability, duration. Both of these are very good. While you are still a relatively lower squad power, you obviously don't want to like totally focus on your pilots or anything. But what you have here is good. Your pilot rank should relatively match your mech and weapon rank. Disc launchers are an exception, obviously, because you can get those relatively early on, and they show up at rank 5, so that's obviously something different. All these are rank 3, and then your pilot's rank 3. So that is ideal. I would try to basically treat a pilot like it's an extra weapon mech extension, and you want to keep it on par with the rest of your stuff. Which sucks for me, because I have a lot of upgrading to do, but that's, it'll probably be fine. Anyway, good pilot for that, obviously. Kill shot with Javelin Rack 6. You're using your energy. Javelin racks are kind of, they're easy to use on something fast like kill shots, so feel free to continue in that direction. I see lots of people doing it. Good. Well, looks pretty good there. You have Assault Pilot on here, and Javelin Rack reload time -2%. Assault weapon damage plus 2%. So it really depends. Javelin Rack does not deal a lot of damage inherently, especially since it's 2 energy lower than Disc Launcher 8. But if you usually use, you can go back here, if your top mech is Killshot, obviously most people's top mech is Killshot, which means that you probably want to use Killshot mostly. So you could consider putting the Crow pilot from Arachnos onto Killshot, because the guided damage boost from this pilot will carry over into the Javelin racks and do extra damage. This is already your top mech. It's probably your favorite one. You can make it even better by doing that. So just a suggestion there. Aries, Stasis, Beam 12. Probably only 12 energy, yeah, that's what I thought. Getting close to being able to rank it up again, though. Once you do, let me see, you'll have 16, so you could put a Thermal Lance 4 on it at that point, and that would do pretty well. Beam weapons, again, I've said this before, but beam weapons are interesting. they're not very effective on most mechs. Panther is the mech that can use those the most effectively. Aries is probably the next most effective mech to use beam weapons on. And the reason is just because they require a very long, like, sustained fire. You have to be constantly shooting at them. You have to be constantly firing, keeping that beam on them to do any damage. You can't just, like, fire your javelin racks and then hide, and then wait for the reload and then fire them again. In this case, you have to soak up any damage that's coming at you while you're firing that beam. So Aries is not a bad choice for that. Your pilot is a little bit of a low level, but if your plan is to take the stasis beam off of Aries and replace it with something else, then obviously don't focus on this particular pilot with the beam damage. But as it is, you got weapon damage of plus 4%, beam weapon damage of plus 2, and stasis beam damage of plus 8, so you got almost 15% extra weapon damage. And then minus 2% reload time. So that's pretty good. That'll get you even better sustained fire, sustained DPS, I should say. Guardian, pretty good level stuff. Everything looks good. Missile rack damage plus 4%, so you got that upgraded once. Once again, like I was saying, if you are free to play, then obtaining A coins enough to get a epic pilot might not be very practical for you at almost any point in time. So you'll probably end up sticking with these rare pilots, but the implants you will want to replace with better ones as you get them from the free implant crate. You can just randomly pull a really good one out, and you want to be able to put that on. So I would suggest, once again, only upgrading rare implants a maximum of 2 times. The epic one that you have here, the stasis beam damage plus 8, you can continue upgrading this one, and you most likely won't take it off for any reason, because, you know, unless you've had like a gold one, but those are very hard to get. So just food for thought. Yeah, your weapon damage, all that stuff. My only recommendation would be, my only real recommendation would be to swap the weapons and pilots from Guardian and Arachnos, and I think that'll serve you a lot better. Guardian is inherently just better than Arachnos in almost every way, because Arachnos' turret damage is almost negligible in every situation. Or you could put the guided kill shot, the guided pilot damage boost thing on to kill shot with the javelin racks. That is completely up to you. But yeah, that's basically all I got for you. Thank you for your pilot ID. Again, if you have any issues, or if I maybe assumed something that I shouldn't have assumed, or maybe there's a specific reason why you have a specific thing a specific way, you can feel free to let me know, and make sure you tell me your in-game name in the comments below.